Hey guys, so in this video we're going to work on finding the area of composite figures. And this worksheet that I'm about to work on is the Composite Figure Maze that I handed to y'all today. Remember, composite figures are made up of multiple smaller shapes. We can break them down into smaller shapes, and once we do, we find the areas of those smaller shapes. They are usually going to be circles, triangles, squares, or rectangles. Now sometimes you may not get full circles. As you can see right here, you only have a semicircle or a half circle. Right here you have a semicircle. Sometimes you'll get a quarter circle. I've given y'all the formulas for those too. So that's the general idea of what we're doing. We're adding together the area of the smaller shapes within a larger shape. Once you add those together, you find the area of the larger shape. So let's look at this one right here. This is about the, I think everybody got to at least this one today. So if you look at it, they already drew the shape for us. As you can see, they drew a line right here. You've got a half circle right here. You have a rectangle right here. It looks like a square, but it's not. You have a 9 and you have a 10 right here. Rectangles have 4 sides of the same length, but it really doesn't matter because it's still going to be base times height for the area. Okay? So I'm going to show my work on another sheet. So I draw my shapes. Okay? So I'll label these columns for you. Shapes, formula, and then show work. Okay. Alright, so I have a rectangle and I have a half circle. I know the area for a rectangle is just base times height. Or if you have to, you can write base and then an x times h, so you can remember to multiply. And then for the area for a full circle, we only have a half circle, so you have to keep that in mind. This is the area for a full circle. It is pi r, or the radius, squared. That's for a full circle, but we have a half circle. So if you have half of something, isn't it just divided by 2? So that's what we're going to do here. The formula for a full circle divided by 2. That's how you find the area of semicircles. So now I'm going to show work. Under the show work column, I'm just going to plug in my numbers. So I'm going to start with the rectangle. I see that my base is 9. This at the top up here it says 9, and rectangles I know opposite sides are equal, so there's also a 9 down here. So my base is 9. My height is 10. So I have 9 times 10, that equals 90. That's one of the area. That's the area of that rectangle that we're going to add up to the area of the semicircle. Okay, so I need radius to find the area of a semicircle. I know pi is 3.14, and then my radius. I don't know what my radius, or I can find what my radius is, but that's not what they give me. They give me the diameter. Remember, the diameter goes all the way from one side all the way to the other side. The radius stops halfway. Key word there, halfway. So if 10 is the full distance, we want to know what half of 10 is, since the radius stops halfway. Half of 10 is 5, so that's what I replace r with. Now I'm going to square that, and then I'm going to divide it by 2. So I get 3.14 times 25. 5 squared is 25. Remember, that's not 5 times 2, that's 5 times 5. That's what 5 squared means. Divided by 2. And then I'm going to do 3.14 times 25. So I get 78.5. So I add those up together. I get 90 plus 78.5. You get 168.5, or so sorry about that, I forgot an important step. So cross that out. I forgot to divide 3.14 times 25, whatever my answer was, by 2. That's what I forgot to do, so that's why I hesitated there for a second. So I have 78.5 divided by 2. So I get 39.2, and I add that to 90. So you get 90, that was the area of our rectangle, plus the area, or sorry, this is my area, this is the area of my semicircle, so 90 plus 39.2, and you get 129, approximately 129. So you'll color in this arrow. So now that you have the general idea of what we're doing, I'm going to speed up a little bit, okay? Okay, so now we're on this one. So first things first, we have to break up the shapes. Right now, the first thing I see is a triangle. So I'm going to highlight this to show that I know that that's a triangle. Right here, so that's a shape. That's my first shape. I see, and usually you're going to connect at where the angles are. So see I have an angle right here? I just do a straight line from angle to angle. You can't just do that all the time, but you know, whenever you're on your test, just keep making shapes until you find something that you can find the area of. Eventually you'll get it right. So I don't have an area. I don't have an area for this shape right here, okay? So I need to break it up. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, okay? So now I have my second shape, and then I have this triangle right here. So 1, 2, 3. So I have that triangle, I have a rectangle, then I have the triangle that looks like this. So I have base times height divided by 2. That's how you find the area of a triangle. And then base times height, and then base times height over 2. So for our first triangle, we know this base right here is 10, because this side is opposite of this side, and this side is 10. So this side is 10 as well. So I'm going to do 10 times the height. We are not given the height. We're going to have to do a little bit of math to find out. Notice how they give this whole distance from the top of this triangle to the bottom down here is 12. Okay? And then you know from right here to here is 8. Okay? Well, imagine this is one giant rectangle right here, all the way around. If this side right here, this little dotted line is 8, then you know this opposite side over here is also 8. So you can fill in 8 right there. This height right here is what we're trying to find. Well, if you know this whole distance right here, and you know this is 8, this height right here is going to be how much more we need to go to get to 12. So we can find it by finding the difference between the two heights, 12 and 8. So whenever you think of difference, think subtract. So the difference between 12 and 8 is 4, so the height right here is 4. So I'm going to do the base, which is 10, times the height of 4, and divide it by 2. I know that's just 40 over 2, and that equals 20. So that's the area of that. Oh, sorry, I messed my triangles up. So I wrote it next to this one right here, but I meant to do this one right here. So this is actually shape 1, 2, and then 3. So now my rectangle, this is going to be easy, because I have a base right here, I have 10, and I just figured out what my height was, or actually no, they tell you right here, they tell you that it's 8. So I'm going to do 10 times 8. which equals 80. So that's one thing I'm going to add. Now I need to figure out this triangle. Okay? Now on this one, you know how long this one is without even having to do any math. So imagine this triangle that's filled in right here, plus the dots right here. If you imagine this as one big rectangle right here, you'll notice that this side right here is opposite of this side. We know this side is 3 units, so this side has to also be 3 units. So we just found the base of our triangle. So 3 times the height. We know how long this is because it is opposite of this side right here. We know this side is 8, so this side right here is also 8. So that is our height. So 3 times 8 divided by 2. That's 24 divided by 2, which equals 12. So now I'm going to add all my answers together to get the area of the whole shape. So now I have 20 plus 80 plus 12. And I get 112. So now we're going to this one. Alright. Okay, so let's see. So it looks like we got a C. So this one's pretty easy. I can just make 3 rectangles. Go from here to here, and then from here to here. So you've got 1, 2, 3 rectangles. Should be pretty easy to find. So I'm going to draw my 3 shapes. And then the area, not the area, but the formula to find area. So base times height for all of these. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to look at 1 first. I see that height is 2. And I can figure out what this length is right here, because this length right here is opposite of this length. Imagine that this was a rectangle. If you had to drew some dots right here. So now you got your rectangle. This side is opposite of this, so you know this is 16. So you just have 2 times 16. And that equals 32. I always circle my areas so I know to circle them so they're easier to find so I can keep up with them better. Okay, for rectangle 2, that's this one right here. I know that this distance right here is not given to us, but I can find it, okay? The whole thing is 20, okay? Then I know from here to here is 16. Okay? So I can find this distance right here by subtracting 16 from 20. And I know it's 16 because this side length right here is opposite of this side length, which was 16. So 20 minus 16 is 4. So the base of this is 4. Okay? Now I need to find the height. On that one, all you have to do is add. They don't straight up give it to you, but you have lengths. You have different side lengths that add up to be this whole distance right here. Okay? You've got 2, so this side length over here is 2. This one has 14 right next to it, so you know right here is 14. And then this side length is opposite of 2, so you know this one's also 2. 14 plus 2 is 16, and then plus another 2 is 18. So this whole thing right here is 18. 4 times 18 is 72. And then for shape number 3, that's going to be the exact same as number 1, so it's going to be 2 times 16, and that equals 32. So now I just add them up together. 72 plus 32 plus 32, 6, and then 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So 136. And as you can see, that's one of our answer choices, so I'm going to go this way. Alright, this one's a little bit more difficult. So you see all these numbers in here. So there's a lot of numbers in here. When you see that, you're most likely going to have to use all of them to find some side or base, height, radius, something, so you can figure out the area. So I'm going to do the easiest thing that I see. Remember, I said that you always need to make the biggest shapes possible because that will reduce the amount of math you have to do. So I'm going to make the biggest shape possible right here. I just made a big rectangle. Okay? So that's going to be my first shape. Okay? Now I have this arrow right here. I'm going to have to divide that up into some shapes. I see that I can draw a line from angle to angle right here that transforms that arrow into one rectangle and then another triangle. So this is shape 2, that rectangle, and then shape 3 is right here, this triangle. So I have another rectangle, a smaller one, and then I have a triangle. Alright, so for that's going to be base times height, and then 1/2 of base times height. The reason that's 1/2 of base times height, or base times height divided by 2, is because triangles are just half of a rectangle. Kind of like the semicircle is half of a circle, triangle is just half of a rectangle. So we divide the area of a rectangle by 2. Same concept. Okay, so for that big rectangle, we have a base of 16 times a height of 10. Okay, so they give you the information for that one. That's pretty easy. 16 times 10 just equals 160. Okay, for this rectangle, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. They give us the height right here, that little 3 right there, that's our height, and then times the base. They don't give us this information right here. We have to figure it out. The way we figure it out is, we know this whole length is 16, okay? This whole length down here is 16. So we know the whole top up here also has to be 16. They don't give us that though. They tell us, they break it up into 3 parts. This part, and then the middle part that we're trying to find. Okay? Well, we can make a formula for that. We know the whole length needs to equal 16. So let's add up the 3 different parts and put them into an equation. That way we can solve for the missing one. So we have 6 plus 6, that's these 2 lengths right here, plus we can just call it x. You can just call this length right here x because we don't know what it is yet. Okay? So 16 equals 12 plus x. Remember, if you want to solve for x, you got to isolate it. Subtract 12 from both sides. 4 equals x, or x equals 4. So you know this base of this small rectangle equals 4. That's going to equal 12. So now all that's left is to find the triangle. So since this bottom of this rectangle is 3, we know the top of this rectangle is also 3. So we can add together these 3 lengths, 2, 3, and 2, to find the base of our triangle. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. So you know the base is 7. I'm going right over 2. Now I need to find my height. Okay? So this 16 right here, it is in the middle of this dotted line that goes from the bottom all the way up to the top. Okay? So we're going to have to use some of the smaller measurements to figure out this very end piece so we can find the height of our triangle. Well, we can use this 10, and usually you're going to use measurements that run parallel to the total. So this is our line right here, that's our total. Well, this line of 10 right here, it's parallel to our line of 16, so we're never going to use that. So from here to here is 10. We know that this length right here is 3, because it says 3 right there, so we know we have 3 right there, and we have a 10 right there, and then we know the whole thing is 16. So to solve for that one, you're going to write 16 equals the sum of the 3 different lines. We know one of them is 10, that was this one right here. We know that one of them was 3, that's that little line of our second rectangle right there. I just drew it over here just to show you better. And then plus x. X is the height of the triangle that we don't know yet. That's what we're trying to find. So you got 16 equals, combine like terms right here, you get 13 plus x. And subtract 13 from both sides to get rid of that 13. 16 minus 13 is 3. X. So 3 or x equals 3 or 3 equals x. Same thing. So 3 is our height for our little third small triangle. 7 times 3 is 21. And 21 divided by 2 would be 10.5. So now we have these 3 things to add together. If I'm going too fast or if you can't see something I'm writing, just rewind the video and pause it. And hopefully it'll be good enough quality to where you can copy off of it. So 160 plus 12 plus 10.5. So I got 182.5. And I must have messed up somewhere, but I have the answer sheet right now, and that's pretty dang close to the right answer, which is 184, so I won't worry about it too much. Okay, so on this last one, I want you to try to do it by yourself. I will give you the shapes, and you just need to figure out the correct answer. So you have a shape here. Let's see, hold on. So that's definitely one of the shapes. You have a rectangle here. Then you can find you have a square here. And then you can do a triangle here. The reason you can do this is because you know this length from this point right here to here has to be 2. Why do you say that? Or why do I say that? Because from here to here is 8. Oh, I'm sorry, actually, hold on. I messed up. So, actually, I need to add up the whole thing together, sorry. So, 3 plus 4 plus 10. That is the length from over here to over here. That is the length of the whole shape. 10 plus 4 is 14, plus 3 is 17. Okay? So I know the whole length is 17, and it's going to be equal to, so from here to here is 8, plus this little imaginary distance right here is going to be equal to 17. Well, this side right here is opposite of this little imaginary dotted line right here, so this is going to be whatever 17 minus 8 is. So we'll just call that x for now. So 8 plus x equals 17, or x equals 9. So I know this length right here is 9, okay? And then I can also find out what this length is, because if the whole length all the way together is 17, so I'll just draw an arrow right here to let you know what I'm talking about. This whole length is 17. Well, I've got this 9, I've got this 4, and I got this 3. Let's see what those add up together to be. 9 plus 4 plus 3. 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 3 is 16. So if these, or hold on, this 9 and this 4 and this 3 add up to 16, there's only one number this can be because the whole thing is 17. 16 plus 1 equals 17, so this base right here is 1. Okay? Then you can easily find these lengths right here because you have this distance right here, which is 9, and you know the total is 15. So I haven't left much figuring out for you to do on this one. You're just going to have to remember the formulas and add. Okay? So good luck.